On October 28, the fashion world prepares to witness the biggest Calvin Klein campaign in their modern history. But wait a minute, this is not just a regular collection launch. It is the culmination of a long journey between a global icon and a legendary fashion brand, two names that are now almost inseparable. In the fashion industry, there is rarely a collaboration that completely redefines the direction of a brand. But Jungkook and Calvin Klein, they did. Not just through promotional photos or giant billboards in New York, but through body language, expressions, to the aura that is difficult to explain, the kind of energy that makes the audience stop scrolling the screen just to stare longer. Before the October 28 date was announced, many rumors circulated in cyberspace. From fan accounts to international fashion media, all guessed, will Jungkook again become the main face of Calvin Klein? The speculation turned euphoric when Calvin Klein's official website released an official announcement a major campaign with Jungkook would be released on that date. But what makes it all interesting is not just the date, but the word Calvin Klein himself uses. The biggest collection campaign ever. The phrase signifies something big, perhaps more than just the release of new clothes. It is an amalgamation of forces between art, imagery, and global pop culture influences. For those who have followed in Jungkook's footsteps since the beginning of his collaboration with Calvin Klein, they know every time a new campaign is released, the result always shakes. From his campaign debut that showcases the masculine side of minimalism to his monochrome concept with dramatic lighting, Jungkook is not only a model, but the embodiment of today's Calvin Klein man. Modern, free, and in control. Not surprisingly, the photos can go viral in just a matter of minutes. Media such as Vogue, GQ, Elle to Harper's Bazaar wrote articles insistently dissecting the meaning behind each visual concept. And now, for this biggest campaign, expectations are already soaring. Industry sources mentioned that Calvin Klein prepared a shooting location on a cinematic scale. Rumor has it, this campaign set was created to resemble a futuristic factory, a symbol of the redefinition of the fashion industry. Jungkook is said to be wearing a new collection that combines denim heritage with a modern aesthetic in the style of the 2030 seconds. No longer just classic jeans and a white tank top, but a play of texture and structure that shows the avant-garde side of Calvin Klein that is rarely shown to the public. There is also news that this campaign not only comes in the form of photos, but also a short film of almost 3 minutes, with a concept touted as the evolution of simplicity. And as always, behind the scenes, preparing for a campaign of this magnitude has never been simple. Jungkook is known as a perfectionist. In numerous interviews, Calvin Klein photographers and crew members have said that he was fully involved, from the selection of poses, to the lighting, to the rhythm of the music in the background. He treats every photo shoot like a stage. Nothing half-hearted. Calvin Klein's creative team calls it the living embodiment of the brand's DNA. For them, Jungkook is not just a model, he is a symbol that bridges two worlds, fashion and music, West and East, modernity and tradition. Now, on the eve of October 28, the internet is already full of speculation about the big theme of this campaign. Some say there will be an element of reflection and transformation. Others guess that Calvin Klein wants to hint at a new chapter, perhaps a direction towards sustainability or global market expansion in Asia. But amid all those rumors, one thing is certain. Jungkook will be the face that brings that big message to the public. And if you look at his track record, he never disappoints. Interestingly, Calvin Klein also seems to be making smart use of this momentum. 2025 is a year of great transition in the global fashion industry. After the pandemic and the digital revolution, big brands are racing to reimagine their image to be more relevant to the younger generation. Calvin Klein chose a different strategy. They weren't looking for influencers, but icons with cross-cultural magic. Jungkook is the perfect choice, someone who speaks with body language and eyes, not just words. When he appeared on the screen, the whole world stopped for a moment. That is the strength that makes Calvin Klein dare to call this campaign the biggest. Of course, behind the glitter and the camera, there is a deeper dimension. The collaboration also reflects how Jungkook defines his own identity in the ever-changing world of entertainment. Once known as the Golden Mean, he is now a global figure invited not just to perform, but to redefine the image of Asian masculinity on the world stage. In every Calvin Klein campaign, he brings something rarely seen in the Western fashion world: a balance between strength and tenderness, calmness and intensity, discipline and freedom. That's what makes every photo of Jungkook feel alive. Not just a studio edit, but a real burst of energy. And perhaps that is also the reason why Calvin Klein continues to believe in it. In an era when many brands change ambassadors every year, the decision to continue putting Jungkook at the forefront is a strong statement. This is not just a working relationship, but rather a long-term partnership built on trust, consistency, and shared values. The October 28 campaign may be just one date on the calendar, but its significance could be even greater. It is a symbol of how the global industry is beginning to recognize the power of Asia, not as a trend, but as a new center of gravity of world pop culture and fashion. Just imagine, when the campaign video finally airs, huge billboards in Seoul, Tokyo, New York, and Paris will simultaneously feature Jungkook's face. Minimalistic background music, contrasting lighting, and one short sentence on the screen may be something like "Evolution begins" or "The future is now." In a matter of minutes, hashtags about this campaign are sure to dominate global trending topics. And that's where we will see an interesting phenomenon: how one individual from Busan, who once only dreamed of becoming a singer, is now a global face that determines the aesthetic direction of future fashion. For fans, this moment is not only about the new campaign, but also about the journey they witnessed from the beginning. From concert stages to Calvin Klein screens, from singing to iconic visuals, Jungkook continues to show that the boundaries of the industry can be broken if one has a clear vision. It's not just a representation of idol turned icon, it's also living proof that authenticity always has a place even in a curated world. So, when October 28 comes, we are not just waiting for the release of a new collection. We are preparing to witness the meeting of two great powers: elegant fashion and an unstoppable young soul. Calvin Klein may be showing off clothes, but Jungkook will be showing off something deeper: how style can turn into a universal language and how one face can ignite the imagination of an entire world. Because in the end, it's not just about what he wears. It's about who he is when he wears it. And therein lies the magic that makes the world never stop staring at Jungkook. Behind the glamorous scenes, there is a business strategy that is no joke. Calvin Klein doesn't just make big campaigns, they build a global narrative, and Jungkook is at the center of it. Let's pull back a little. A few years ago, Calvin Klein experienced a stagnant phase. Although their names remained big, many competing brands such as Prada, Dior, and Saint Laurent began to overtake public attention, especially among Gen Z. The label Classic Minimalism, which used to be the pride of Calvin Klein, is suddenly considered outdated by a new generation that prefers bold expressions and experimental aesthetics. At that point, Calvin Klein had to make a big decision: keep playing it safe or rock the fashion world with an unexpected new face. The decision fell on one name, Jungkook. Not many know, before the announcement of their first collaboration, Calvin Klein's creative team had time to consider several other global figures, including Hollywood stars and top athletes. But after a series of market research and digital analysis, one interesting data emerged. Jungkook's name occupied the highest position in the Global Brand Engagement Index. That is, every time a name is associated with a product, the value of public interaction increases dramatically not just in Asia, but also in America and Europe. For Calvin Klein, that means one thing. He's not just a K-pop star, but a cross-cultural phenomenon. They see something that even the fashion world doesn't fully understand. Jungkook's appeal stems from authenticity. He doesn't pretend to be an icon. He becomes himself. In a fashion world often filled with over-imaging, this attitude is like a rare oasis. So when Calvin Klein approached her for the inaugural campaign, it wasn't just her athletic body or photogenic face that was targeted, but rather an authentic aura that made anyone feel connected. That's why Jungkook's first photos for Calvin Klein featuring only jeans and a white tank top felt so powerful because he wasn't trying to be sexy, he was just being himself. And that's where his true power was born. But now, for the October 28 campaign, Calvin Klein goes one step further. They don't just sell clothing collections, they sell visions of the future. Some sources say the campaign will carry the concept of the rebirth of modern icons, a global project that will involve collaborations with architects, musicians, and visual artists from different countries. Jungkook will be the main face of the project, symbolizing the meeting between classic elegance and the new energy that is shaping the generation of 2025 and beyond. No longer about looks, but about legacy. One of the most interesting elements of Calvin Klein's strategy is the way they build anticipation. They deliberately didn't leak any official photos or teaser videos until closer to the release date. All just spread through campaign sketches, a series of black and white photos that look like snippets of creative ideas. In one image, Jungkook's silhouette is seen standing in front of a large light, his body barely visible except for his reflection on the floor. In another image, a design scribble appears that says CK28 divided by 10, evolution begins. This style provokes public curiosity, making wild speculation grow rapidly on social media. Hashtags like #CK's Jungkook and #Calvin Klein 8 October reached millions of interactions in just a few hours. However, this strategy also reveals another side. Calvin Klein no longer views the campaign as an advertisement, but as a global event. Each element is designed to create a conversation, not just a promotion. They know, in the digital age, audiences don't want to just see, they want to engage. And who is better able to create global engagement than Jungkook, a figure with millions of active fans scattered in every part of the world? It is a natural viral machine. As soon as one photo appeared, the internet shook. One small gesture can be a hairstyle trend or a new photo pose on TikTok. For Calvin Klein, this is not a coincidence, it's a strategy. Furthermore, this October 28 campaign is expected to be a multi-layered launch. This means that Calvin Klein will not only release photos and videos, but also present immersive pop-up experiences in several major cities, Tokyo, New York, and Seoul. Inside, visitors can step into an art installation themed Redefining Simplicity, where each room is designed to reflect one aspect of Jungkook's journey with Calvin Klein. There is a mirrored room depicting self-reflection. There is also a black room with single lighting to accentuate the idea of exposure and authenticity. All of this shows that brands want to create emotional connections, not just transactional ones. If we look deeper, this strategy actually reflects a major change in the global marketing paradigm. In the past, big brands competed for a popular face. Now, they're looking for a figure with a story and meaning. Jungkook fulfilled both. It has a popularity that transcends continents, but it also has an inspiring narrative of life. A young boy from Busan who once wanted to sing is now a figure who is changing the world's perception of Asia in the entertainment and fashion industries. And that's where Calvin Klein's genius worked. They didn't just choose a star, but chose a symbol of the times. The decision to put Jungkook on their biggest campaign yet also shows how Calvin Klein reads the direction of the Asian market with precision. Recent data show that Asia now accounts for nearly 40% of total global fashion revenue. South Korea, in particular, has become a major point of influence through K-pop culture and drama. By making Jungkook the face of Calvin Klein is not only expanding the market, but also deepening the emotional connection with a young audience growing up in the digital age, whose values are more humanistic, honest, and open. But make no mistake, behind all this grandiose planning, there is also great pressure. A campaign of this magnitude has to be perfect. Every photo, every frame of the video, even the background music in the ad will later be analyzed public. Jungkook himself is known to be very detailed and meticulous in every project. He often spends extra time on the set to make sure his expression matches the creative vision. According to some insiders, during the last campaign shoot session, Jungkook had asked for it to be repeated many times just to get one more natural head movement. He had an incredible sensitivity to the camera, said one of the photographers he had worked with. He knows how light works on his face, it's rare. And now, with October 28 approaching, the world is gearing up to see the fruits of this great work and vision. But one thing is certain, this campaign is not just a collection launch, but a cultural statement. Calvin Klein is asserting that the future of fashion is no longer about who is the most luxurious, but who is the most authentic. And amid a world hungry for authenticity, Jungkook stands at the forefront, not just as a model, but as a reflection of a generation that dared to be itself. When the campaign is finally released, perhaps the world will call it Calvin Klein's biggest campaign. But behind the scenes, we know this is a new milestone in the relationship between art, music, and fashion. And Jungkook's name will be firmly inscribed there, as an icon chosen not just for popularity, but because he represents something more timeless: truth in simplicity.